am. I always am. I'm always really right before. Please rise in body or spirit, and let's sing together our gathering song, Spirit of Life. It's number 123 in the gray hymnal. We'll sing it twice. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise
Good morning. It's good to see you people. You know, the last time I was wearing these threads was 8 days ago when I officiated at my son's wedding in Ohio. So, yeah. I only choked up one time, so I made it through. It was quite a thing. So Emily and Zach are going to be here on December the 23rd, going to have a reception in the afternoon since you guys couldn't come to Ohio. We were coming to you. So the point of me telling you this is I welcomed a new daughter-in-law. I welcomed a whole new family, just wonderful people into my life. And this is a place where we come to welcome each other into our lives, where it's not just a casual encounter, but we're seeking ever deeper relationships. This is a place of true welcome. And I encourage you to take just a minute to, first of all, just kind of look around and make sure that you know everybody who's here. We're going to do a greeting, and I want to make sure that everybody in the room gets greeted. So let's do it. Just take a moment to greet one another. Thank you for being here. Thank you for the gift of your presence.
For many of us, our deepest happiness comes from our connections with one another. Our Unitarian Universalist affirmation talks about that connection. It talks about building a community of caring people and creating a joyful refuge together. So I invite you to join me in saying the words of our affirmation. Love is our doctrine, compassion is our way. Here we seek to create a joyful home for free religious exploration. Nurture the community of good fellowship, nurture the hopes, and serve the needs of the world.
Might be new. Join me on the refrains, please. If you know it. If you don't know it, join me when you think you can. One blue sky above us, one ocean lapping all our shore, one earth so green and round, who could ask for more? And because I love you, I'll give it one more try to show my rainbow rays it's too soon to die. Some folks want to be like an ostrich, bury their heads in the sand. Some hope that plastic dreams can unclench all those greedy hands. Some hope to take the easy way. Poisons, bombs, they think we need 'em. Don't you know you can't kill all the unbelievers? There's no shortcut to freedom. One blue sky above us, one ocean lapping all our shore, one earth so green and round, who could ask for more? And because I love you, I'll give it one more try to show given to me and you. Join me. One blue sky above us, one ocean lapping all our shore, one earth so green and round. Who could ask for more? And because I love you, I'll give it one more try to show my rainbow race. It's too soon to die. One blue sky above us, one ocean lapping all our shore, one earth so green and round. Who could ask for more? Thank you.
We're moving towards the darkest time of the year, and as the days grow darker, we can each create our own circle of light. There's the light of kindness, and there's the light of gratitude for the opportunity to love and to be loved. Today, we'll create several circles of light. First, we'll light our chalice for this congregation, the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Salem. We'll light our second chalice for our partner church in Šimunfalva, Transylvania, in Romania. And we light our third chalice for the children and youth in our religious education group. This morning also marks the beginning of the season of Advent. And in the Christian tradition, Advent is the beginning of the church year. Christianity is not alone in celebrating light at this time of year. Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, and solstice are all celebrated with candles and flames and light. Each week until Christmas, we'll light a new candle on the Advent wreath. This morning, we'll light the first candle as a symbol of hope. In this season, many of us are wishing for peace in the human community, and this candle represents that hope. Please join us in singing the flame into life.
Rise up, O flame, by thy light glowing, show to us beauty, vision, and joy.
Hello, it's me, Sarah. Sorry, Molly's son's not feeling good today, so she had to stay home. But if I may please have everyone who is young at heart, please come join us. It's a whole lot of people. All right, thank you. All right, today I am reading a book called We're Better Together. Would you mind helping me, please? Ooh, that's why I'm here. Thank you, I appreciate it. All right. We're better together when we play. We take turns on the swings, play circle games, and tag. Together, we have more fun when everyone joins in. We're better together when something is lost. We look everywhere, under the table, behind the chair. Together we search until someone says, "There you are, fuzzy blanket." We're better together in arts and crafts. Each of us is better at different things. Some are good at letters, some are good at drawing, some are good at painting pictures. Together we create a masterpiece. I think these slides got a little out of control. We're better together at making music when someone beats the drum, when someone blows the horn, when someone shakes the tambourine. Together we play a song that gets everyone moving. We're better together when we clean up by the water. We pick up cans, plastic bags, and other litter. Together we make it safe for the ducks and the fish. We're better together when we see people who need help. We pick up a teddy bear, a rattle, and a book. Together we send our neighbors on their way. We're better together when it's thundering. We huddle under the kitchen table, all cozy and snug. Together we hold hands until the storm passes. We're better together when someone needs a bath. We help fill the tub with sudsy bubbles. Together we wash and splash until we're squeaky clean. We're better together when it's time for sleep. Even though we're in our own beds, we're joined in our hearts. Together we wish good things for all the world. That's the last of it. What if you could make the world a better place by working together? What do you think would happen? We can all find the ways to take turns, chip in, share, and love one another. There are more ways to be a part of community than you might imagine. How do you work together? I shoveled snow off my neighbor's sidewalk. That was Walter, who was age 6. I shared my pencil, Allie, age 6. I let someone use my coat because they were cold, Anastasia, also 6. I helped clear the table without being asked, Tucker, age 5. I said good game to another team when they won, Martin, age 6. My knitting group makes and donates cozy hats for newborns. My husband and I support our community theater and collect new socks for the homeless. We love our potluck picnics when everyone brings a favorite dish. Ellen Spinelli. All right. Thank you. And then I think I have one announcement. All right, so we're going to have a Rummage holiday giveaway, not a sale. So it's going to be on December 17th at 2 o'clock. You get to come in and fill up one bag and take it home. So I hope I can see everyone there. It's going to be a good time and get all kinds of cool things. All righty. And I have Miss Annie.
So I looked at the list for birthdays, and there are no birthdays this week. I brought 2 cards in case there was anybody here that happened to have a birthday, but I'm looking at you 3, and I know it's not yours. Is it your birthday, Lorna? I'll give you a card. It was her birthday last week, okay? And if you happen to have kids or no kids that come, bring them around their birthday time and we'll get them a card and make sure that we have their birthday so that I know to send them something. Thank you.
So if I may please get everyone to form the love arch, I would greatly appreciate it.
Wherever you walk, walk in love. Wherever you walk, walk in peace. Wherever you walk, walk in beauty all around you. Our hearts go with you.
Why don't you take a deep breath and just be in this moment, this particular moment. If you want to close your eyes so that your mind's eyes can open, let's go above the earth. Let's see this whole earth that we share with so many. Let us be aware of the sorrow and the grief in our world. Let us be aware that violence is happening, the depredations of the environment, the refugees struggling, people suffering. Let us be aware of all who share this planet with us, all beings. Let us be aware of them that we might have a heart of compassion. Compassion for ourselves, compassion for everyone. Here we come to awaken our heart, that we might have a heart of compassion for all in this world. Our minds are especially drawn to those who suffer grief and loss. May they find comfort. May they know that they are not alone. May we help create a compassionate world. For compassion is our way. and gratitude for this community.
So I have a question. How many Unitarian Universalists does it take to change a light bulb? Any question? Any answers? Any guesses? Yes. Well, yeah, that might be a bit much. Any other guesses for? It takes one. So, now, can you guess how many people it takes to offer the service each Sunday? Yeah, there are dozens. Oh, no, 5. Way more than that. There are dozens and dozens of people that are involved. And there are even more people, a whole community of people who do all of the activities to keep this congregation humming. The breadth and the energy of volunteer efforts in this community are astounding. And this morning, Reverend Rick will be talking about community. And right now, we want to recognize the efforts of this community. So first of all, we want to recognize the hosts who greet us at the door each Sunday. And as I call your team, can you raise your hand so that we can recognize you? Anybody on the host team? They also do things like staff are, staff are, and actually there are going to be a lot of teams, so you can just hold your applause till the very end. There are a lot of volunteers. So they also do things like staff our welcome table during coffee hour. We want to thank our team of homilists who inspire us and make us think. So if you're on the homilist team, and also our celebrants who organize the services every Sunday. We're so grateful for the skilled and dedicated sound and video engineers back in the back and those who prepare our slides. And we also appreciate the music director and the people who do our music, our cantors, our accompanists, the choir, and all of our incredible guest musicians. So if you've been involved with music, please raise your hand. And we're grateful to those who bring refreshments for coffee hour and to those unsung heroes who wash the dishes. And I think almost all of us have sometime been in the kitchen, so if you've served on the refreshments team ever or are scheduled to this year, if you want to raise your hand, thank you for your help. We want to recognize the contributions of our Lifespan Religious Education team, who are even now teaching our children, and the volunteers on the communications team. We wouldn't be here without these dedicated volunteers who tend our website and who send out information about what's going on and who send out our newsletters. So thank you. There are some amazing people on the facilities team. These are the people who are responsible for the upkeep of this beautiful building. And they're also responsible for overseeing the recent heating and air conditioning upgrades. Yay for heat. The aesthetics and design team takes care of our beautiful art that's throughout the building and makes sure our building is attractive. We also, many times when we come in, we admire the work of the landscaping team. These people work in all kinds of weather to beautify our grounds, and that's a labor of love. So if anybody's on that team. There are a lot of others who are not necessarily seen during a Sunday service. These are the behind-the-scenes teams that make everything come together. So if you're on one of these teams, if you can hold your hand up and then just keep it up as we recognize our behind-the-scenes volunteers. There's the team council, the membership team, the nominating committee, the committee on the ministry, the committee on human resources, the Safer Congregation Committee, the finance committee, the finance team, the investment committee, and the endowment committee. So thank you, all of you, for your quiet diligence. Then there are the leaders who nurture the connections and help us forge friendships with each other. And these are the leaders, if you can, all of those on the connections kinds of teams, if you can raise your hand and keep it up. There's the Chalice Circle leaders, the Connections Group leaders. There's also people who lead the Women's Alliance, the Men's Group, the Women's Retreat, the Jolly Diners, and the Journey to Belonging orientations for newcomers. We really appreciate you helping us create a loving community. There are also those volunteers who help with community outreach. And if you're on any of these teams, if you can raise your hand and keep them up. There's our social justice team and our microfinance team, who we heard from a couple of weeks ago. They provide the resources for people to lift themselves out of poverty. We also want to recognize the volunteers with Salem Promise. These folks provide friendship and support for unsheltered families in our church. So if you've been on that team, thank you so much for all your work and for your compassion, all of you. And overseeing all of this is our board of directors. So if you're on the board of directors, if you can raise your hand. Thank you so much. These folks are behind the scenes to make all of the large and the small details come together. And their efforts are incredibly important, and they're very appreciated. And you don't need to raise your hand for this one, but we want to thank all of you who have offered generous financial gifts. We are so grateful for your support. Your support helps us keep the doors open and the whole place humming. So thank you so much. Have I forgotten anyone? I did actually mention, I hope I mentioned them. I didn't. They're on the list. Thank you. So all of those on the Lifelines, Lifelines lay ministers, if you can raise your hand. You were on my list and my eyes went right past it. And we really appreciate your offering compassion to those in need of compassion. So thank you. If there's anybody else who I've forgotten, talk to me after, and we'll make sure that we recognize your team in a future service. So that's a lot of people. But most of all this morning, we just want to recognize all of you who have joined us online and who are here and offering the gift of your presence. We appreciate your volunteer efforts. We appreciate everything you do to make this community a vibrant community, and we appreciate the gift of your presence. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Annie Jocelyn, and I am one of your Lifeline lay ministers. Today we have one joy and three concerns. And the joy is for me. Next weekend, students of American Ballet Academy will be performing a children's Nutcracker at the Elsinore Theater. Performances are at 7 on Saturday and 2:30 on Sunday, and all profits are donated to Marion Polk Food Share. I probably shouldn't tell you that there might be a few familiar faces on stage. They might get embarrassed, but we hope to see you there. Concerns submitted online. I have a concern from Carolyn Woodman. She says, please send your supportive thoughts to Sandy Gunther, our friend and longtime member of UUCS, whose husband, John, passed this last Tuesday. It was a sudden and unexpected death due to a recent diagnosis of stomach cancer. We're sorry, Sandy. From Leslie and Bob Zygan, I have two concerns. 6-month-old Alora faces more open heart surgery. And our friend Jeanette is doing chemo before her ovarian cancer surgery. Finally, we light one more candle for joys and concerns that are felt in anyone's hearts but remain unspoken this morning. Lifeline lay ministers are fellow members of UUCS who extend Reverend Rick's ministry to members and friends of the congregation who are experiencing loss, illness, or any type of personal family crisis. We want you to know that nothing is too big or too small to have a listening ear. You can reach out to us by visiting the Lifelines table in Hanneman Hall each Sunday after service. Our lavender badges say Lifelines Lay Minister under our names, and you can contact us at the email address on the screen. You can post your joys and concerns in the book in the foyer before church. Next Sunday is Compassionate Connections. If you'd like some emotional support from Reverend Rick and the Lifeline Lay Ministers, please come to the front of the sanctuary immediately following the service. Then we'll head back to a private space together. Thank you to everyone who submitted joys and concerns today, and thank you to all of you for keeping these people in your hearts.
Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, oh my soul.
So our culture places a value on independence and self-sufficiency, but we need each other. In 1967, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. offered a Christmas sermon where he said, "It really boils down to this: all life is interrelated. We are all caught in an inescapable network of mutuality. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly." Did you ever stop to think that you can't live for your job in the morning without being dependent upon most of the world? You get up in the morning, you go into your bathroom and you reach for your sponge. That's handed to you by a Pacific Islander. You reach for the bar of soap. That's given you at the hands of a Frenchman. And then you go into the kitchen to drink your coffee. That's poured in your cup by a South American. Or maybe you want tea. That's poured into your cup by a Chinese. Maybe you want cocoa for breakfast. That's poured into your cup by a West African. And then you reach for your toast. That's given you at the hands of an English-speaking farmer, not to mention the baker. Before you finish eating breakfast in the morning, you've depended upon more than half of the world. This is the way our universe is structured. It has an interrelated quality. We aren't going to have peace on earth until we recognize this basic fact of the interrelated structure of all reality. I keep wanting to take Reverend Smith, the Reverend's sermon back with me.
That's happened before, and I've stood up here and looked down in shock as my sermon wasn't there, but it's here now. So thank you, Nadine, for the wonderful reading, and thank you, Marcia, for the beautiful music. You know, when I was a young fella growing up in the Southern Baptist Church in Georgia, I heard many stories from the Bible. It was about the only thing I found interesting in church, which was insufferably boring to me. But the Bible stories, I liked those. And I took them all at face value, never imagining that what was depicted wasn't literally true. Take, for example, the Tower of Babel story. That's in chapter 11 of the book of Genesis. It's a pretty dense narrative, and I'll make it even denser by summarizing it. It goes like this. Once upon a time, ancient time, long time ago, all people spoke the same language, and therefore they could cooperate, and they began to realize, hey, we can cooperate and we can accomplish great things. And so they said, let's build a tower. A tower. We can just, there's no limit to how high we can build this tower. It'll take us to the realm of the gods. And the Lord, up in heaven in this story, felt threatened by this. And so to confuse the human race, God is always a he in this account, he suddenly made it so that one day everybody woke up and discovered that they spoke different languages and they couldn't understand one another. So they had to abandon this Tower to Heaven project, and they had to scatter all over the earth. And this, I learned, was why people speak different languages. By the time I was a teen, I knew better. This ancient fable didn't describe anything that had happened in history, nor did it explain how all the different languages arose in the world. I had to take linguistics in college. It was a hard class, and that's not how it happened. So I put it out of my mind as a primitive attempt to explain the origins of language. Then once I got a little older, got over my sense of intellectual superiority and dismissing all this superstitious nonsense, and I began to recognize how the myths that come to us from ancient societies sometimes reveal something deeper than literal truth about ourselves, about the human condition. This ancient tale has come to mind more than once during my ministry, which began, if you can believe it, in ancient times, 1986, before the advent of the internet, email, social media. And when these were first introduced, they were hailed by the great tech entrepreneurs. Here is your salvation. Here is your salvation. Finally, we could all be on the same page. We could have Google translators so that we could understand each other. We would have great dialogues. We would make new connections all across the world. Now with this new technology connecting us, new communities could quickly form across a wide geographical range, and it was just going to be a matter of time before the many barriers that divide us would be eroded by mutual respect and understanding. It didn't work out like that, did it? Didn't work out. Perhaps, I never give up hope. We lit the candle of hope. Perhaps someday in a future age we cannot easily envision this will come to pass. But this dream has crashed on the rocks of hard realities we have not understood and still do not understand. We're in a real rough patch right now. We are. Things are falling apart in our nation, our world. The divisions between humankind appear to grow deeper and wider, and nobody can tell us how this is going to play out. What happened? What happened? Well, as it was, these technologies we were promised would help unite us became instruments that carved us up into mutually hostile camps. And because we live in a broken world full of hatred and strife, it now seems foreordained that these technologies would become abused and corrupted. And instead of meaningful dialogues, we have meaningless diatribes, and we do not understand one another. and many have retreated into silos where you can only hear your own voice and the voices of those who agree with you, and everyone in your silo agrees to hate and despise those in other select silos. The mainstream media, the right stream media, all the media, much of the media, not all of it. There are some good people out there, but a lot of the media, recognizing the great profit to be found in sowing polarization, has abandoned journalistic integrity and jumped all in to exacerbate the situation. Added to this toxic stew are some strange ideas that got cooked up in academic labs and have now broken out and spread like a virus, which has further divided us. I'm speaking of what is generically known as identity politics. Writer and New York Times columnist David Brooks. If you don't read David Brooks, you should. He's a wonderful man. He's a real moral light in our nation. But David Brooks sums up the basic tenets of this ideology, which is, we shouldn't emphasize what unites all human beings. We should emphasize what divides us. Human relations are power struggles between oppressors and oppressed groups. Human communication is limited. A person in one group can never really understand the experience of someone in another group. The goal of rising above bigotry is naive. Bigotry and racism are permanent and indestructible components of American society. And seemingly neutral tenets of society like free speech, academic freedom, academic integrity, and the meritocracy, these are all tools of the powerful to preserve their power. That's David Brooks's summation of this ideology that I'm describing. This ideology insists that instead of seeing one another as fellow individual human beings, we instead see a label, a category of person. And now we're harvesting the bitter fruits of this ideology as anti-Semitism, because in this system, Jews are white colonial oppressors. They're not seen as individuals, they're white colonial oppressors. And because of this way of looking at people, anti-Semitism is now more widespread in America, especially among the youth, than it has been in generations. Sad and shocking as it is to say, the leadership of the Unitarian Universalist Association in Boston had no built-up spiritual immunity from this divisive, toxic Trinity ideology, and it has embraced it and insists that we do too, even though it betrays our liberal principles and the core principle of all the great religious traditions of humankind, namely, the individual has sacred worth, regardless of their race or ethnicity or sexual orientation or religion or political leanings. So it grieves me to tell you that we must keep the flame of our liberal religion alive in our congregations, because it has gone out in Boston, extinguished by ideologues. I'll have more to say about that next year, and that's not the primary focus of my remarks today, but I couldn't not say that. In sum, the forces pulling us apart are stronger, it seems, than the forces pulling us together. Human nature hasn't changed. I believe in the inherent goodness of the human heart, but stressful circumstances bring out the worst in us. Historians have noted that in our nation's racist past, when the economy went bad, lynching went up. And today, the many stresses and strains in our nation and our world exact a rising toll. Palestinians and Jews both have been killed in this country in recent memory. And now, in this perfect storm of unrest and uncertainty, we face this tragic truth again and again. And the tragic and bitter truth is that it is easier to destroy than create. It is easier to destroy than create. And there are many who delude themselves in thinking that their destruction of society and social norms serves some positive revolutionary purpose. But at the end of the day, all that will be left is the ruins of what has been destroyed. It's easy to destroy an institution. It's hard to create and sustain one. It's easier to acquiesce to the destructive tyrannies of the mind and spirit than summon up the moral courage to oppose them. It is easier to label and cancel someone than explore the human being beyond the label. It is easier to harbor a grudge than let it go to sail off into the seas of forgetful oblivion. It is easier to take offense and destroy a relationship with angry words than build a bridge of understanding. It is easier to feel self-righteous than be self-aware and humble. It is easier to become defensive and counterattack when facing criticism than to stay grounded and open-hearted. It's easier to jump to false conclusions than to walk steadily towards the truth. It is easier and more perversely fun to stoke the fires of rage than to let them burn out. It is easier to be irritable and agitated than it is to be patient and kind. It is easier to go one separate way than to seek the common ground. It is so much easier to hate your enemies than find a way to love them. It is easier to let your mind and emotions run freely down the path of hatred and delusion than to tame your mind. So each person faces again and again a challenging choice, a spiritual choice. Will I walk the path of destruction or creativity? And as I have faced this choice again and again, I have not always made the right choices, and I've taken some unfortunate detours into the realms of bitterness and resentment. But the wisdom gleaned from painful experience can help you recognize these cul-de-sacs sooner so that you can avoid getting trapped there in the future. It helps if you can learn how to center yourself. If you practice bringing yourself back to the calm center of your being when you've walked out on the ledge of mindless reactivity where you might say or do something destructive. You can catch that. You can come back. You can come back from that ledge to the center of your being. My meditation practice helps me hear some, and that I can witness my own inner rage and fear and anger and then let it go and not be swept away over the ledge into the realm of anger and hatred and perpetual bitterness. It helps me, but it's not enough. It's not enough. I've discovered that centering myself is just not enough these days. There's a missing piece to this spiritual puzzle, something that clearly reveals what's at stake for all of us. And if we can't figure this out, we literally face a bloody mess. As I was pondering this in my heart, I remembered a conversation I had with my friend Phil. He's a Unitarian Universalist in a nearby congregation who has faced many bloody messes. He's a retired surgeon. And when I first learned that Phil had served as a surgeon in Vietnam, I noted how this was about the most dreadful situation I could ever imagine being placed in. Having terribly wounded, mutilated bodies laid before you to patch up however you could. One young wounded body, black, white, Vietnamese after another, having to see the brutal toll of war right before you. I can hardly imagine anything harder to face. So I commented that he surely must have been happy when his time of service in this bloodbath had ended. In fact, I was surprised to learn he was not anxious to leave. He voluntarily re-enlisted. Not because he believes in war and violence, but because he believes in healing as much as he can. And he told me that these were the most memorable and fulfilling years of his career. Why? He told me because everyone on the medical team worked as one harmonious unit, completely dedicated to doing all the medical good that they could for all the wounded ones laid before them, American and Vietnamese. He was just part of something greater than himself. They were there where they were most needed. And he told me that when you are needed and when you step up to play the useful part you can, and you sense that you are connected to something beyond your individual self, and you know that your efforts are bringing healing, it elevates your soul. It changes you. It changes you. Phil grew up in a Jewish family in small-town America, and he has been no stranger to anti-Semitism in his life. Like there was a time a man called him before the operation and would not allow Phil to operate on him once he learned that he was Jewish. They had to find a Christian doctor. Instead of allowing such cutting slights to diminish him, Phil has been guided by the core Jewish principle of tikkun olam, T-I-K-K-U-N-O-L-A-M, tikkun olam, which means to heal the world. To heal the world. Isn't that a wonderful concept to have? There are so many who have been wounded and are being wounded now in this world. Think of the bombs falling now. And there is so much healing to do. There's so much healing to do. We've all been wounded, and we can all do some healing. We can all do some healing. But to heal the world, you have to have a vision of the world, of humankind, which calls to mind Malcolm X's pilgrimage and the vision he had near the end of his life before he was assassinated. As a young man, Malcolm X, thoroughly disenchanted with America, he joined the black separatist Nation of Islam. Yet over time, he also became disenchanted with them, and he left this sect to become a Sunni Muslim and part of the larger worldwide Islamic community. And as is asked of all Muslims who are able, he went on a pilgrimage, a Hajj, to the holy city of Mecca. And mixed in among all the people who had come from around the world were whites from other lands than America. Whites from other lands than America. Blonde, blue-eyed people freely mixing with blacks from African nations. And they treated him, Malcolm X, with the utmost respect and welcomed him with complete and sincere hospitality as a fellow pilgrim. And after spending his entire life in a racist setting, he was not prepared for this. He was not prepared for this. His heart, hardened by a lifetime of dehumanizing racism in America, melted into love and joy. He sensed for the first time the essential unity of humankind. Or in his own words, there were tens of thousands of pilgrims from all over the world. They were of all colors, from blue-eyed blondes to black-skinned Africans, but we were all participating in the same ritual, displaying the same spirit of unity and brotherhood and sisterhood that my experiences in America had led me to believe could never exist between blacks and between white and non-white. So said Malcolm X. Having experienced this spiritually exalted moment, one he never ever expected to experience, he was filled with the realization that we can all learn to speak the same language of love, that we are not tragically fated to be divided from one another, that we can build a tower on the common ground of good and reach the heavens where we find love. Malcolm X never expected to have this experience. And this reminds me to never lose faith in this vision of our essential unity, no matter how obscured it is by the clouds of confusion and strife. It reminds me to never cease striving to play whatever small role I can in bringing recognition of our unity to fruition. This is my sacred obligation. This is a sacred place where we come to center ourselves, regain our vision of the common good, renew our vows to honor the sacred in one another in our covenants of love and understanding. So be it. Would you join me in a period of quiet reflection, imagining your life and the connections you have to other people? Imagine the opportunities you have on a daily basis to offer kindness and hope and healing to those around you. Imagine something beyond the clouds. See the sun beyond the clouds. It's up there, it's always shining. The sun of love. Keep your gaze fixed on that. Keep your gaze fixed on that. And you will never be lost. Nadine's going to join me to read our covenant.
So our church has a covenant of respectful relations, and we've been invited to recite it together twice a year. The words are on the back of your order of service, or they are projected on the wall. So I invite you to join me in reciting our covenant of respectful relations. As members and friends of the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Salem, we commit ourselves to practicing Unitarian Universalist principles in our daily lives. To that end, we aspire to join with each other because we are a stronger community together. Be a welcoming community that encourages diversity. Encourage participation of young people in the life of our congregation. Encourage all to express their thoughts. To foster healthy relationships, treat others and ourselves with respect and kindness in our words and actions. Closely protect what is told to us in confidence. When there is conflict, seek resolution in a constructive and timely way. In all of these, we strive for improvement, not perfection. May it be so. So we support this community through our volunteer efforts and through our friendships with each other. And we also support our community with our monetary gifts. We haven't yet made our budget for this year, and so your gift is needed and it's deeply appreciated. There's a red wagon coming to the front of the sanctuary. We help nourish the Salem community by giving food items, and the Marion Polk Food Share distributes this food to our hungry neighbors, including thousands and thousands of local children. Marion County has one of the higher rates of hunger among families. In addition, through our Share the Plate program, we offer monetary support to local organizations. This month, we will support the Interfaith Movement for Immigrant Justice. This is a coalition of faith communities throughout Oregon who are called by conscience to respond to the suffering of our immigrant sisters and brothers. This coalition works to provide welcome and create justice for people who are facing persecution or oppression, and this includes a lot of immigrants who have been separated from their families. Baskets will be passed for those wishing to donate by cash or check, or you can donate at uusalem.org. Just go to the donate button. Thank you so much for your generous support of our congregation and also for supporting the wider community.
Said, we're up here for the holiday. Jane and I were having solstice. Now we need a place to stay. And her Christ-loving uncle watched his wife hang Mary on a tree. He watched his son hang candy canes made with red dye, number 3. He told his niece, it's Christmas Eve. I know our life is not your style, she said. Christmas is like solstice, and we miss you, and it's been a while. So the Christians and the pagans sat together at the table, finding faith and common ground the best that they were able. And just before the meal was served, hands were held and prayers were said, sending hope for peace on earth to all their gods and goddesses. Well, the food was great, the tree plugged in, the meal had gone without a hitch till Timmy turned to Amber and said, is it true that you're a witch? His mom jumped up and said, the pies are burning, and she hit the kitchen. It was Jane who spoke, she said, it's true, your cousin's not a Christian. But we love trees, we love the snow, the friends we have, the world we share, and you find magic from your God, we find magic everywhere. So the Christians and the pagans sat together at the table, finding faith and common ground, the best that they were able. And where does magic come from? I think magic's in the learning, 'cause now when Christians sit with pagans, only pumpkin pies are burning. When Amber tried to do the dishes, her aunt said, really? No, don't bother. Amber's uncle saw how Amber looked like Tim and like her father. He thought about his brother, how they hadn't spoken in a year. He thought he'd call him up and say, it's Christmas and your daughter's here. He thought of fathers, sons, and brothers, felt his own son tuck his sleeve and say, can I be a pagan? Dad said, we'll talk about it when they leave. So the Christians and the pagans sat together at the table, finding faith and common ground, the best that they were able, lighting trees in darkness, learning new ways from the old, and making sense of history and drawing warmth out of the cold.
Got a few announcements. Just want to let you know all the good things that are happening around here. As you can see, we're still doing something next Sunday. One of our great homilists, Bob Muir, is going to be sharing We, Me, or We. We're going to be echoing some of the themes that we have already begun exploring today. I have another announcement about a team council. Team council is going to meet today in the green room, which is down the hall, from 12 to 1:30, and all leaders of teams, committees, affiliated ministries, and interested parties are invited to attend the discussion. Well, I won't. Just go to the meeting. You can find out what the discussion is going to be there. Let's see. We also have a giving tree announcement. This is something that we've been doing since before I became the minister 31 years ago. It's a beautiful thing. The Mindful Organization for the Recovery of Psychological Health, MORPH, formerly the Mental Health Association of Marion County, is asking for your help in providing holiday gifts for people with significant mental health conditions. If you are interested in providing a holiday gift, take a gift tag from the giving tree in the lobby. Is it in there now? Is it? Yeah. It's in. Okay, good. I didn't want to tell you to do it and it wasn't there. So the holiday gift is the giving trees in the lobby. You just take a tag and it'll tell you what the person wants, and then you can return it gift wrapped and described as described on the tag by next Sunday, December the 17th. And I think that's most of the announcements that I have right now. We will be having a Christmas Eve service. It starts at 7 p.m. It's going to be great. And theme, a peaceful picture. So there's a call for photos. We were able to show photos. So we're asking for photos that show a peaceful picture that expresses the bond between a parent or parents and their child. And you can see where to send the photo there at the bottom. So if you send it in, you'll see the picture again during the service maybe. So if you'd like to get the email and the newsletter, you can contact the office, or you can email the office right there, and we'll get you hooked up so that you get all the information that you need. Thanks to our wonderful communications team. And I think that's all the announcements.
So as we light our social justice and service candle, may it remind us to carry compassion in our hearts, and especially right now for those in Israel and Gaza and the West Bank, Sudan and Ukraine, and all of the places in the world where people are tearing each other apart with war and violence. This week, may we keep our own inner flame of justice burning and do everything that we can to bring peace into our homes and into our neighborhoods and into the world, wherever and however we can. This flame reminds us that we are not just single individuals, but we're part of a human community, and one which needs our engagement and compassion. As we extinguish the chalices, let us remember to continue in the light of kindness during this dark season. We are all interconnected.
Please rise in body or spirit, and let's sing with gusto number 121, We'll Build a Land. Land shall roll down like waters, and peace like an ever-flowing stream.
We are so happy that you could join us today, whether you've come online or you're here in person. And we especially welcome any visitors. If this is your first time here, please join us for a coffee hour after in Hanuman Hall, back through the double doors. And you're welcome to stop at the welcome table and introduce yourself. And also feel free to sit at any of the tables. We would love to get to know you. Please join hands if you are comfortable while we recite our closing words. May faith in the spirit of life, hope for the community of earth, and love for the sacred in one another
be ours now and in all the days to come. It's very clever, you two.